Hey everybody, welcome back to Event About It, the Dynamic Dialogue After Show, and I am blessed to be here in the Soliman Production Studios with Sarah Soliman herself. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited that you get to see our space and I get to meet you in person. This is a win-win.
I agree. Okay, so quick reminder on who Sarah is. This bio is super long, so we're going to kind of breeze through it, but we'll link to all her things. So Sarah is the president and CEO of Soliman Productions. She's honestly one of the most involved people in this industry that I know, holds many positions with MPI locally and nationally, serving on the board of directors of Brown Girls on a Mission, a nonprofit made of minority women in business, dedicate volunteer hours to several charities in Central Florida. I love that you're doing stuff outside the industry too. It's very aspirational. Co-led the Meetings To movement with her colleague Courtney Stanley. We're going to get into that, addressing sexual harassment in live meetings and events, which is still a problem, which is incredible that we're still talking about this.
Yep.
And Sarah has won many awards, including 40 Under 40 by the Orlando Business Journal, Rising Star Meetings and Conventions, Industry Changemaker, Trendsetter, Smart Women Entrepreneur of the Year, all the things. So many things. We're going to link to it. So the first thing I do want to talk about, because you have so many awards, so much industry involvement, we've talked a little bit off camera about the power of mentorship. And I think you and I both have benefited a lot in our careers and industry involvement from that mentorship. Why is that important to you?
So great question. Mentorship, you don't get to where you want to go without people helping to guide and direct you. And I have been very blessed to have various mentors, not only in the events industry, but outside of the industry as well. And both,
I think that's key. Sorry to interrupt, but
is.
Having people outside of the space and outside of the industry that are guiding you and having advice, because it's so easy to get sucked into your silo. And I have a personal board of directors, is what I call them. And I think only one person on that board is actually in the event space.
I love that. And I think it does give you a really healthy perspective of industries, not just our industry as event professionals. And then I also think it's important, especially as women, to have male mentors too. Yeah. I've been very blessed to have various male mentorship from the different boards that I've served on. And again, in our industry and outside of our industry, just people that I can call and pick their brain and say, hey, what do you think of this business decision? Or, what do you think of this partnership? Is this the right strategy? Or, what's your take on XYZ? So that has been super beneficial for me as I've developed my career. And then the other thing too, it's not so much mentorship, but it's kind of like studying behaviors, right? And those are things that I do, and even to this day I still do. So looking at business owners that you admire, that again may not be in your industry, but what are they doing that's working, and why is it working so well? And where is it that you're lacking in your personal or professional space that you can maybe, kind of change a little bit to meet what that person's doing.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of learning opportunities. We talked about this in the podcast of there's so many things going on outside of the event space. And for me, I read a lot about social science, psychology, neurology, just buying habits of humans. Why are things more expensive to place on the grocery store shelf at eye level versus top and bottom? How can we apply that in the events world, and how we're designing and laying out show flows and all the things? There's so much connecting the dots that I think people miss. And that's where I think mentorship is really important.
Yep, absolutely.
And where we also talked about this off camera, but the importance of finding a mentor. And I think for us, traditionally, we both got very involved in various industry organizations, PCMA myself, MPI for you, same, but different. But those models are kind of broken these days. The next generation, myself, I'm not a member of anything anymore. Where can people start to find a mentor?
It's interesting because I never thought that we, would have a conversation like this as far as the value of an association and what membership really truly means. I think people are finding that membership model and that mentorship model online. I now more than ever really have a lot of younger folks reaching out that may be in school. So in our world, they may be coming from film school or, journalism or the events industry.
Yeah.
And they are looking for one-on-one mentorship, not necessarily to ask about, oh, tell me more about MPI or PCMA or any of these industry organizations, but tell me more about you and how you got to where you are today. I find it very interesting that kind of direct to mentor, I guess, for lack of a better term, is happening. And I see it happening more and more. Yeah. And the opportunity for us to schedule, even if someone lives in California and I'm in Florida, across the country, but to schedule a virtual coffee and to just pick my brain versus, hey, let me become a member of this and then meet you in, Las Vegas for this event. And then we'll do coffee. And then we'll, they just kind of cut to the chase where I think when we were really growing up in this industry, it was like, oh, well, I've got to be a member of this, that, and the other in order to feel like I'm relevant and to feel like I'm part of something. But I think that community is really happening in so many other ways.
Yes.
And I do think it's something that, moving forward, our industry associations really do need to perk up and be aware of.
Yeah, I mean, there's Slack channels of communities of people popping up. There's LinkedIn groups. I mean, I work with a couple in a formal way, a couple of mentees all over the country that they just reached out to me. Got an Instagram note, got a LinkedIn note, said, hey, can I meet? I have some questions. Would you mind spending 10 minutes with me? And that was years ago. I mean, one of them, I just helped her study and pass for her CMP exam in December. And we've been working together for a couple of years now and just love her. Shout out to Khadija. I love her.
Yeah. And you know what else I'm seeing a lot of, which I think is super cool? Retreats. So people are planning their own mini retreats. So it's like, okay, hey, Sarah here, I'm planning a retreat in, I know of a retreat happening right now in Bali with, I'm sure, folks that we are both, friends with and know of. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing. It's a retreat for, a small group of, in this case, women. And they are in Bali and they are enjoying and, learning and kind of getting outside of their own comfort zones. And when you talk about value, if my budget for the year is going to go towards certain experiences, I really, as a business owner, for me to leave my business and my personal life to get on an airplane and go anywhere, I need to make sure that when I come back, the value is truly there. So when I'm looking at the budget and what I'm going to invest my value in, when you tell me a retreat in
budget,
Bali,
but your time, time is money.
Totally.
Like, where do you want to walk away from your business for 5 days? To go do that, not just monetarily, but with your time.
Absolutely. But you come back and you feel like, okay, everything was well spent, right? My money and my time was well spent. And I feel a personal and professional growth from this experience. So I think people are really craving more of these retreat style, intimate settings where you are still face to face, you are still willing to make that trip and invest in that trip, but you're just doing it differently.
Yeah.
So that kind of mentorship and community building is also happening in those capacities as well. And I think, again, associations really need to be on the forefront of that.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the other things in terms of mentorship, and then we'll kind of shift gears here, is there are so many of your friendships that you probably don't even realize are mentorships. And I think about one person in particular. She and I have been friends, industry friends for a while. She recently moved to Montana, so we became even closer friends because now she lives, 20 minutes up the road, and it's just nice to have event people that get my job where there's not very many of us where I live. And I tell her all the time, thank you so much for all the mentorship. And she's like, we're just friends. I'm like, no, but I don't think you realize there, and I have a lot of friendships that have evolved into mentorship and people who are a couple grades above me. I mean, she's been in the events industry almost as long as I've been alive. And, we talk about that quite a bit. She's seen so much evolution. And as we're changing right now, I go to her all the time asking questions of man, are we on the brink of another 2008? What did that feel like? How do I navigate this? All this uncertainty. Is it new? Does it feel different? Because she has sort of that perspective that I don't. And I very much blur the lines of friendship and mentorship quite a bit. And I think a lot of us probably have those relationships that we don't even think are mentors. They're just friends.
Yeah.
But they probably could be defined differently.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. And that's such a good point. I mean, I think with that, like most of my friends are mentors for sure. For sure. And they're of all ages. So,
yeah, that's kind of a good segue. I mean, your colleague Courtney Stanley, I know she mentors quite a few people. She runs a couple of awards, like Top Women Awards. She has her own podcast highlighting a lot of women's success. One of the things you guys worked on together is the Meetings to movement. So tell us a little bit about what that is and why you guys started.
Absolutely. Well, first off, I am so proud of Courtney. She is one of my dearest friends. We met through the industry, and I'm forever grateful for that. But we are definitely very, very close outside of the industry, too. So it's been really cool to see her blossom and really find her own path. We started the Meetings to movement a few years ago. It was pre-COVID, 2018 or so. And in chatting, her and I, over, breakfast, I think at an industry event, again, years ago, we just were sharing experiences. And I was going through an interesting scenario where I was experiencing harassment in our local chapter within MPI. And I just didn't really know how to move about it, what to do, it wasn't something I had necessarily experienced before in that way. I've experienced harassment in various forms, right? People making comments, whatever, but things that I can brush off. This was a little bit different. And just having an open dialogue with Courtney and her sharing some of her experiences, we realized okay, we're not the only ones. This is not isolated incidences by any means. Like this happens, unfortunately, too often.
It does.
And we, from there, just put our brains together and said, why don't we try to take this on? It was right when the Me Too movement had found its legs and, was really kind of spreading like wildfire, essentially. And we said, well, we very much have a problem in our industry, too.
We do.
So we put together kind of like a toolkit, if you will. And we started speaking on stages together for different organizations in the industry, both, local chapters all across the country, but then also on national stages for some of our bigger industry organizations. And it was a really awesome and well-received movement. Although obviously our movement didn't completely eradicate sexual harassment, unfortunately, it is nice to know that it was well received and that we played a small part in getting a conversation started within our industry. I think our industry sometimes tends to shy away from anything controversial and, let's not, rock the boat.
Can't rock the boat too bad.
Yeah.
We can do it a little bit. But
yeah,
not too much.
let's not, piss anyone off or, offend anybody. And it was just no, this is a problem. We're offering solutions. If anyone is offended by this, then they just don't need to tune into our content or watch us on stage or whatever, right? So a really cool story, actually, kind of years later leading after the Meetings to movement, it's still being shown in some universities across the country. So it's funny because sometimes Courtney and I will get messages from students and on LinkedIn, and I think it's part of their assignment. So they'll watch our Meetings too. God bless these kids. They'll watch our Meetings too segments, and then I think they're tasked with either finding Courtney and or I on LinkedIn and sending us a note to say, hey, I watched this and these are my takeaways. So I love that. It's so fulfilling to know that these kids are learning this in school and that it truly is being added into the mindset and the psychology of people coming into our industry, that hey, this is a problem and here are ways for you to be aware of it as you step into our events world professionally and how to tackle it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was going to ask, is there one moment that made you be okay, we're actually making a difference? Is it the students reaching out that you're okay, this was all worth it?
For sure, students reaching out, because it's been so many years since Courtney and I have shared the stage to talk about Meetings to. Initially, when we had first started the movement, it was all of the women coming up to us, and some men too, by the way, coming up to us afterwards to say, thank you so much for championing this effort and for having a voice and having the courage to talk about things that, again, are controversial and people don't want to address head on. So thank you for being that voice, because, and then they'll share their story. I too have experienced XYZ. And so that there was super fulfilling. I mean, obviously, that's what you want. You want people to feel like they're not alone on an island if they've gone through something traumatic or difficult, especially when they're just there to do a job, right? But now it's definitely knowing that what we started is in school curriculums. Like, that is really cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah, it hasn't really like sunk in totally, but it's really neat to see how these young kids are learning what we've put together.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think with the mocktail movement, I don't even think it's a movement. I mean, myself included, I don't really drink all that much anymore. Just health reasons, all the things. I think events are going to become safer because, I mean, you put people in dark rooms with loud music, lots of alcohol, very little food. There's a plate of cheese cubes and you expect something not to happen, you know? And I think that whole narrative of events is very much going to become the odd, not the normal. And I think that leads to a lot more safer events in the future. And now these students are learning about it. I mean, you see code of conduct agreements and registration forms now. So I think you guys did a great thing.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I love it. Okay, so not to shift gears on something so important but heavy, let's shift a little bit and talk about two of our favorite topics, which is footwear. I mean, you have some fabulous stilettos on today. You're famous for rocking the heels and stilettos on site. I, too, love all the stilettos. I know recently you're starting to wear some more sneakers, but what's the secret to wearing stilettos on those hard concrete floors all day long?
Well, here's the thing. I am actually really short. I know most people don't realize that because they're used to seeing me in heels, but I'm 5'1" and a quarter. And
the quarter is so important.
It is.
You gotta have it.
Super important.
Yeah.
My license says 5'2". I don't know where that came from, but it's fine. I'll take it. But I'm actually very short. So when I'm interviewing people, and this is kind of where it all stems from, right? Like when I'm interviewing people and I'm holding a microphone up, I look like I'm 12 if I don't have any heels on.
Like Simone Biles next to Shaq,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Right. And like my team, like obviously they're all much taller than me. They're holding and then someone's
and the editing, I didn't even think about like a camera shot if you're a foot shorter than everybody
they're
else.
Looking down.
Yeah.
So it was more so, one, I love fashion. I love, dressing up. So that's its own thing. But obviously I love comfort. And the older I get, I really love comfort. So it's more so from a production standpoint to ensure that like I'm at somewhat eye level with people.
Yeah.
And I can kind of conquer these interviews and look like I'm not 10 years old. But of course, like you said, I've been starting to wear a lot more sneakers, especially when I travel. Obviously, yes. I'm, very comfortable. I love a good, two-piece set with some nice sneakers on. But I don't think I will ever give up my stilettos on shows. I think it's definitely part of my brand, but it's part of my brand for a reason. It's just something that I enjoy. Like I'm always dressed up, so...
I wouldn't say I'm always dressed up, but I love a good shoe. Like I'll be casual everywhere else, but a pop of a shoe is, I love them. It's probably the only fashion area I invest money in.
Yeah. It's quite the problem. My shoe closet is quite the problem. So
same.
Yeah.
Same in my house. Do you have a favorite brand that kills it on site? Like, this brand you can always wear for like a solid 8 to 10 hours.
So I will say Sam Edelman has some really cute heels, and they're affordable and they're comfortable.
They are.
I have lots of other brands that I think are beautiful, but they are not very comfortable on site.
I got influenced hardcore on Instagram and ordered Cozy Island.
Oh.
I'm not lying. Like, literally got influenced. They put ads on all pages. Like, every other thing I saw was Cozy Island. So I finally broke down, ordered a pair. Game changer. Like,
really?
Amazing. I'm going to order more pairs now. Like,
okay.
I was in Boston at a show a couple months ago, probably 12 hours. Right out of the box, didn't break them in, just put them on, 12 hours, no blisters, no tired feet. Like, they were amazing.
And that's the thing, like shoe brands don't realize how huge the event professional market is.
There's so much conversation online about shoes and what planners are wearing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cozy Island.
Cozy Island.
Okay, good to know.
I mean, you order them before tariffs kick in because they came.
Yeah.
It took like 3 weeks to get them because they came straight from China. So
Okay.
keep that in mind.
Yeah,
I don't know if
good
the
to know.
price
Good to
went
know.
up or not.
Yeah, good to
They
know.
might cost more now.
They're going to cost as much as the Christian Louboutins now. Yeah.
Maybe. They might. They might. The other shoes that I want to try coming up, Sarah Blakely came out with her new shoe line, Sneaks. Mm-hmm. I think they're ugly as hell, but I'm so intrigued that I might order a pair to rock at IMAX. Like, I think I'm going to do a whole segment and order Sneaks and try them at IMAX.
You totally should.
I think I'm going to do it.
You should. I think you should order Sneaks. I think you should, obviously, you've already vouched for Cozy Island and then maybe one other brand, and like wear them each day at IMAX and just do your review and see what you prefer. I think that is a huge miss in our industry for sure. It's like, tell me what's comfortable but still cute.
Yes. And I wouldn't say Sneaks are cute, but we're going to try it.
Okay.
I think there's a way that we could style them.
You can,
I mean,
dress them
she
up.
wore them to red carpet. I mean,
she's allowed though.
I know. It's like Sarah
so
can get
allowed.
away with anything.
Yeah,
basically.
she can basically do whatever she wants. She's a badass.
Pretty much.
Not to say we're not, but
we're not at Sarah's level yet. We're not quite there. Not quite. Okay, so with that, thinking about being on your feet all day, you started your career in radio. I don't think a lot of people know that. Where did you make the shift from radio into event production? And what's something you learned and took from the radio when you went into the events world?
Radio was one of the best times of my life. It was so much fun, and I still have lifelong friends from
So were you
my
on air
radio
production
days.
or
No,
like
well,
on the road?
I would do some on-air, like behind the scenes production, but I was also doing a lot of promotional work.
Got it.
I was at remotes, as they call them in radio, which are events essentially. So we would go to like the car dealerships or the, whatever, all over the city. But then we would also be very involved in the station that I worked for at the time was one of the biggest stations in town. So we did a lot of like concerts and festivals and comedy shows and really, really cool stuff. So I already kind of had my foot in events, just in a very different way. It wasn't our traditional like corporate events. But I saw how hard, events were. For example, I was in radio when the All-Star game was in Orlando. Gosh, this must have been like 2010 maybe. And we had our hands in planning so much of that. And I was exhausted. And I was from one event to the other, because it was like all over the city.
Sure.
And it was just such a monumental time for me. I was, like 21, 22 years old, just, kind of finding my own bearings in the world. But I learned so much from watching different elements of radio. So like the on-air talent, how they conducted themselves, and how the producers that were producing some of the radio shows back then were, and then the promotion side and, the sales department. I mean, I really kind of jumped around to different departments and wanted to learn all things about radio. So I think, the transition into events wasn't a huge shock, just because I was already doing so many events just in different ways.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily doing the production at the events, but we were very much like capturing the moments, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you do in radio.
Exactly.
So it was such a fun time. And it makes me sad that radio isn't what it used to be. I think, especially for kids that are in school for radio television, that radio piece is really just different now.
It is.
But when you talk about community and really building a family, I mean, you're working with these people at all hours of the day and night because you're doing so many different types of events, and, you're at clubs and you're at this and you're at that. I mean, it was fun. It was a lot of fun for a 20-something-year-old to get her feet wet in.
Yeah, I mean, I think every 20-something, when you start your career, you need a job like that. Like for me, my first job in the industry, I was a CSM at a convention center working. We weren't allowed to cross-share events, so I might have had a breakfast loading in at 4 a.m. for a 7 o'clock start time, and then Expo was moving in from 4 to 10, that evening. Like, there's just something about the grind, and I think you said getting your feet wet in a lot of different areas, because in your 20s you should be curious. Like, we're still figuring out what do you want to do, who you want to be, like what interests you. And so I love that. Knowing what you do now, is there any part of that you took from radio?
I think so. I think the storytelling piece for sure. I mean, think about it. Radio, if you're an on-air talent, you're behind the microphone. No one sees you.
Yeah.
So to build a personality with no facial recognition, and then to then go on site and be around people and kind of ensure that they understand, like, oh no, I'm the person that was behind the microphone that you hear every morning on your drive to work. Like, that right there is such a cool way to storytell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're a personality, a true personality, not just on camera, but like your voice is the personality. And I think I really learned and I observed how a lot of our talent at the time was so good with people and being able to storytell in 30 seconds on an on-air spot, but then in person really kind of being personable and ensuring that their way of communicating with the public and the fans, right, was listeners essentially, was in a way that was compelling and a really good story.
Yeah.
You're a personality. If you're running a business, you are a personality, right?
You are.
And you have to ensure that your clients understand your story. So that to me was kind of always in the back of my brain, and still is, when I'm working with different people, to ensure that they understand like who Sarah is as a person. And I'm not just like a business owner. I'm not just like the person behind the radio voice. Like, there is more.
Thinking about that, the founding story of Soliman Productions, it comes out of, somewhat of, I think we've all been there, myself included, some bad breakups. Mm-hmm. Professional breakups are sometimes, I find, even harder than like romantic, because there's so much personal that goes into that. And so obviously you can share as much as you want about the bad breakup. We're going to get into like how to navigate some of that. But how did you leverage that to then come to here? Because I think, at least for me, when I think back on some of those professional breakups, I'm almost grateful they happen now, because I wouldn't be where I am now. Soliman Productions obviously wouldn't be here if that hadn't happened. Mm-hmm. I mean, it probably would have, but it kind of accelerated that timeline for you to get where you are. So walk us through like that moment of like, I know my worth. This isn't the place for me. I'm going to branch out and do my own thing.
Yeah, that was a really interesting time in my life. So ironically, Megan, I never wanted to own a business. Like, I think if that professional breakup never happened, I don't know that Soliman Productions would have, because I was never the person that was like, I want to have my own business and I want to do this. Like, I was totally good with being an employee. I work really hard. I've always treated every company that I've worked for as if it were my own, to the point where people thought it was mine, right? So it was never really in the cards for me, if it were up to me, to start my own business. Soliman Productions was really born out of a place where I started to feel very unhappy in my place of work at the time. And
unhappy or unfulfilled?
Well, I was actually just unhappy. I think fulfilled, okay. I was fine, because I worked with really great people. And I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, I need more. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm always, I love to work. You could put me anywhere and I'll do the job. I love to work. That's not the issue. It's just, I need to also be happy. Like, I need to feel like I'm appreciated and that I'm happy. And I felt like leadership at the time was not treating its people, the way that they could have been and should have been. And I was tolerating that for so long and so long and so long. And I was also like the longest standing employee at the time. So if I was feeling that way, I can only imagine what other people were feeling. And I remember one morning in particular, I was coming out of the shower. My hair was like wrapped in a towel. And I just like laid in bed and I was like, oh my gosh, I am so miserable. I don't want to go to work. And that is, again, not my personality. Like, I will show up and do whatever I need to do. And it was in that moment where I called my dad at the time and I said, Dad, I don't think I want to be in this place anymore. What do you think of, like, what if I just start my own thing? And he's like, my dad's a business owner. So of course he's like, sure, like, do whatever. I have the best parents ever. They're very supportive of whatever decisions I make. And then I said, okay, well, sure, maybe I'll give it a shot. And then if all else fails and like, this thing doesn't make any money and we can't survive and sustain on anything, then I will just go back and corporate America is not going anywhere. I have great relationships from like my radio contacts, my news contacts. Like I would have been fine. I mean, I'm unhappy here, so I'm going to leave, right? Like either way, I'm going to leave. That was like a for sure thing. So what I'm going to do next is really up to me. So that's when, you know, things started to roll with Soliman Productions. And then all of a sudden I was getting phone calls, like my phone was ringing from industry organizations that were like, where are you going? Like, we need you at our show. And I'm like, well, I'm not there anymore, whatever. So then they would just hire me to do things for them at events, like whether it was produce or content or be an on-camera talent or whatever it was. So Soliman Productions really started to like open up a little bit more back into events because of relationships that I just had established with people, you know, in the industry. Of course, that came with a lot of backlash. And that carried out for probably like 8 out of the 10 years that we've been in business.
I mean, we're 10 years later, we're still talking about it. So it hasn't completely gone away.
It hasn't. But, you know, I'm grateful for all 10-ish years of drama. And it taught me a lot about myself. I feel like I definitely can turn the other cheek. And I am very motivated by a good challenge and by people just being negative or, you know, speaking ill or making up rumors or whatever it is. Like, nothing phases me. So I just have always kept on my trajectory and my goal is in mind. And, you know, I'm on this path and I'm not going to allow anything to deter my mindset and live in this space that I purposely took myself out of. So, you know, it was a very interesting, I went through a lot of like embarrassing, you know, public moments where people were trying to humiliate me in public in front of other professionals in our industry. And it kind of worked in my benefit because the way that I react to that or my lack thereof says everything anyone needs to know.
And that was going to be my next question is how do you respond? Because it's quick to try to respond to everything when someone's putting false narratives out there about what's actually going on. It's quick to reset the narrative and say your side of it, but sometimes saying less says more. How do you navigate that?
So my dad growing up my whole life, and I'm Egyptian, so we speak Arabic at home. So my whole life, my dad has always said, and it sounds better in Arabic, when dogs bark, you don't bark back. And that has always been my mindset. So that whole experience was when dogs bark, you don't bark back. Like when my dogs bark at me, I don't bark back at them, you know? So it's that. It's you can say all this stuff and you can try to get people to gang up on me and humiliate me and do whatever, but I'm not going to bark back. I'm not going to give you that satisfaction because guess what? I go to bed really well at night. Like I can sleep just fine. My head's clear, my conscience is clear, I'm good. So if that is what you live in, if that's the space that you choose to live in, it doesn't mean that I need to partake. So I've always just had this like, next. Okay, what else is out there?
And at the end of the day, work speaks for itself. And like, look what you're doing versus what some of these other companies in the industry and this bad breakup company is doing. I mean, it speaks for itself, like, and where you're pivoting and doing these content days with creators and the space that they are continuing to work in. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
You don't have to say anything. Like, your work is speaking for itself.
Exactly. And that's very much always the mindset is like, hey, you know, we will always take a classier approach. We're always going to be a step up and we don't need to go down a level. Like, I want to be around people and businesses and business owners that are going to elevate. You know, I want to look up to people. I don't want to look down at anybody. So for me, it's always that. It's like, oh, okay, this is happening here. That's cute. What's happening over here? You guys seem much like you've got your stuff together. Like, I want to go over here.
Yeah.
You know, so
you're the company you keep.
Exactly. It's so empowering to conduct yourself that way versus to pick a fight with someone. I mean, that's just not, that makes no one feel good.
Yeah. And I think this industry is so much smaller than people give it credit for. I mean, we talked about the story of how we got here today doing this interview, and your reputation is everything in this industry. Yeah. And, you know, people are going to come and go. I mean, I have had many jobs in the industry, have left most of them on good terms, but even the ones I didn't, I'm not burning the bridge because you have no idea when that person's going to be your client, your customer, your boss, your colleague, and your reputation is just everything. And it's easier to take the high road and let your work and reputation speak for itself, because if those people are behaving that way, karma will catch up to them. Like, fully believe that, karma's a bitch and it'll get them.
For sure. Yeah. And I don't wish any bad on anybody. Like, for me, it's like, wish you well. We just, and in my brain, I thought they would have been a client. I thought we were going to have a nice relationship when I made my exit. It wasn't to hurt them by any means. It's just things didn't work out the way that I thought they would, and it's fine. I mean, they made their own decisions, and that's okay. But that was definitely not my my intent for that relationship to have suffered the way that it did. And I didn't realize that it was going to turn into so much drama. I mean, I had more drama from 27 years old to probably 30, like my early 30s, than I ever had in my life. I don't welcome drama. I never had it in school. It's just not my MO. I'm a very easygoing person. I get along with literally everybody. So it was just so weird to go through drama as an adult. I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
We're all adults. We are not in high school. What are we doing?
And I was the kid in the room. That's the
Being
irony.
the mature one.
Yes. I'm the kid in the room. I should be the one that's like, you're not coming to my party. But what?
Also, adults being like, what are you doing here? You're not coming to come.
The things that I have dealt with are, I could probably write a book, but
I think if there was a thing to take away, it's taking the high road.
Always. Yeah, always. I think, and that's, exactly. And I hope that that's what my team took away from it. I hope, you know what I mean? It's everyone's going to go through stuff in life. And I hope that that's okay, we can always take the high road. We don't ever need to sink down to anyone's level.
Oh, I love it. Okay. So some rapid fire final questions for you. These are some fun ones. Mm-hmm. What's one thing about the events industry you wish people would stop romanticizing?
The glamour piece of it. I think that's such a false way of viewing and teaching future event professionals that it's this glamorous life. I mean, there is a lot of hard work and hustle that goes into it. The travel piece, even when I hire folks to join our team, it's a lot of travel, and I want them to understand that it's not glamorous. We travel, your flight gets delayed or canceled, you may have to sleep in an airport, or you may have to sleep at an airport hotel somewhere. There is a lot that comes with being in events, and I just feel when we glamorize it and we make it so that it's this kind of, it's sexier than it is, it's a false way of really promoting our industry and to make it a little bit more real. Yeah. Does that make sense?
I talk all the time about, everyone's like, oh, you're going here, you're going there. And it's I've been to a lot of places. I've seen very few of them.
Yeah.
Because I'm from the hotel room to the center, from the hotel room to a ballroom. There are some cities I've been to and I've never left the hotel. I couldn't tell you anything about that city.
Yeah.
And I actually love that example because I think we do that a lot. And on everyone's Instagram, TikTok, whatever, it's the highlight reel. They don't see us in a show office till 2 a.m. rewriting show flows because the executive had this spur of inspiration over a bourbon at dinner and was like, it would be a great idea for tomorrow at 7 a.m. Make that happen for me. We don't share that part of the job. You just share the parties and the things and where you are and the fabulous hotels that you don't even get to enjoy.
Right. The pretty receptions and stuff. It's, yes, that is very much part of it, but there's nothing glamorous about all of that. It's a lot of work. And especially as the next generation gets into this space, I just want to be very realistic about the expectations of the work, and that you're not just going to go to Las Vegas and go eat at the celebrity chef's restaurant and meet the celebrity chef. And you know what I mean? It's not all of that.
Yeah.
So there is some of that, but it's not all of that. There's a lot of work that goes into what we do.
I also use this example a lot. I think that's why, beyond all the reasons COVID affected our industry and it sucked for event professionals, where we got our jobs were decimated and redone overnight. But there are work perks to the long hours and the grunt work that you get because of the grind that is our jobs. And then like overnight, all the work perks are gone, but the work got harder. And it got more complicated, and it pushed a lot of people into areas they never thought they would be. But then all of a sudden, you weren't getting any of the perks. You weren't getting invited to the celebrity dinners and things like that. You were just stuck at home doing all the stuff you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So it just compounded the hardness of life that already was around us.
Totally, yes.
So much. Okay. What's a thought leader take you think is just smoke and mirrors? So like a piece of advice that gets thrown around all the time in our industry that is just not real.
I feel like the whole fear-mongering around AI is a little dramatic. I mean, yes, AI can do some things, but I don't think it can do all things the way that we as humans do it, especially in events. I mean, creating human experiences I think takes a human to do. I don't know that you got to learn AI or your organization's going to go down the drain. Like, I don't know that we're there, and maybe just not yet, at least. I don't think
still very much experimenting with all things AI right now.
Yeah. And I mean, we use AI in our business, and sometimes it's shit. And I'm like, what the heck is this? You know, and then it actually takes me more time because I've got to go back and redo. I don't know. I just feel like it can make you more efficient in some areas, but I feel like it's more so clickbait right now than it is true advice.
I mean, I think AI is the best thing to ever happen to the events industry. And this is the hill my soapbox, the hill I'm willing to die on at the moment is AI is making the internet even messier. And it's hard and harder and harder to tell what is real and not real online. The only way people are going to know what's real and get a real connection, like, oh my God, can you imagine catfishing now with like an actual AI bot? Like SDRs should be nervous because an AI tool can now make all your phone calls and not complain about it.
Yeah.
You know, and AI's the only way people are going to know things are real, the way people are going to connect. I mean, we're humans and social creatures at the end of the day is to go to events and to be face to face. So like, I think AI is the greatest thing to ever happen because it made my job that much more relevant. Like my skill set and my price point just went way through the roof because AI cannot do what I do.
I agree. And I think that's the message versus the other part of it where it's like, get with AI or else your organization's going to be like completely kaput in a few years. Like, I just don't believe that. And I don't know that that's like the message. I think what you are saying is very much more the message.
Okay, you've seen everything through your production lens. What's one thing that pretty much always gets edited out that you think people should keep in?
We work with a lot of different industries, right? And I think when you're talking about things that can be controversial, religion, sex, I don't know. There's a lot of different like elements of content that we record with people. And a lot of times they're like, oh, you know what? That one segment about like religion, can you just like take that out? And it's like, okay, but then why did you share it? You know, I don't know. I think there's a lot of realness that we get to see and hear from behind the lens, to your point about, you know, content and different people that we record with that doesn't make it out into the world. And it's because everyone's trying to maintain an image to not get canceled, essentially. Yeah. And I get it sometimes, but sometimes I'm like, that, you know, that's the piece that you should have had there. Because that's what, if you're trying to build an audience, your audience is actually wanting to hear that from you.
Well, I was going to say the piece for me in the word is authentic. We hear that so much. It's like, leave the bloopers in there. Like, leave the awkwardness in there. Like, we're all humans at the end of the day. Like, show me all the takes that went wrong. Like, yeah. I want to see some of those too.
Especially, you know, when we relate it back to our industry, like our executives, right, that work for all of these big companies and stuff. I mean, even when you're looking to attract talent internally, talent wants to see that. They don't want to see like the polished, you know, buttoned up person. Like, they know that person exists and they have to exist. But who are you as a human? Like, humanize yourself. Yeah. And yeah, if it's making a funny joke or that blooper or you cussed and you were like, oh shit, let's do that again. Like, that's the kind of stuff that people are like, ooh, this person seems really cool to work for. You know, like we want in on that. So it's good for both your internal marketing, but obviously your external too. I think, yeah, people talk about being authentic, but I think there's a lot of course, editing that we see very often in our world.
I mean, everybody wants it so polished and perfect before they put it out on the internet. And I don't know, I'm just much more of the like, all right, we're going to do it and we're going to put it out there and see what happens.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't have to be so perfect all the time.
Yeah, and this is a super silly example, but I joke around a lot on Instagram with my fiance Sanjay, and he's always historically been like the cool guy, very like, oh, I don't want anyone to make fun of me, and everyone just like bows down to him. He's like so cool, you know? And then here I come along and I'm like, I mean, I'm pretty friggin' cool, obviously, but like I'm more of a jokester. I'm okay with making fun of myself, making fun of him. So I poke fun at him and people love it.
I'm sure.
And they tell him, they're like, it's cool that Sarah's brought out this like side of you that you've never had before. Like you're sillier, you're goofier, and it's made him more human. And I'm like, see, that right there draws more business your way. It draws more people. Like it makes you a real person versus like this, you know, guy that you were trying to be. So I don't know. When we take that and we look at what content works online versus what doesn't, that's the stuff that works.
But also just thinking about the stuff we consume. It's not the I mean, for crying out loud, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, they're all train wrecks and I watch every episode.
Right.
And I rot my brain every time. But like they're unapologetically authentic with their crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and people love it.
That's what people want to
it's
see.
Human.
Exactly. We're all a little crazy.
Yeah, everyone's a little crazy. I had to learn that the hard way and then just like embrace the crazy. For so long I was like, oh, my family's crazy. And then secretly realized, well, everybody's family
Literally
is
everyone
crazy.
is crazy.
Yeah, we all are. What's the most ridiculous thing you've been asked to fix in post?
To make an orange pillow more orange.
Okay.
It's a true story. And the pillow was in the background of a shot. So it's like if you and I are sitting here and then there's like some random chair and like far yonder in the shot and there was an orange pillow on it and they wanted the pillow to be more orange.
That's
At like 8 p.m. on show site.
That's a very specific.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Not worth it. Not worth it. What's something everyone thinks makes for great content, but you know is actually a total snooze? An award show. I'm kidding.
Yeah, literally an award show. No, I would say, definitely just like talking head videos. It's just like, you know, a CEO talking for like 20 minutes about whatever. There's no meat and potatoes to it. It's just like the person speaking. I mean, people are still doing that and they're doing that on Zoom, like virtually, which makes it even worse. So there's no like B-roll added, there's no music, it's just like dry content, and I just that's never gonna fly.
Yeah, no, that is total snooze fest. If someone wrote you a blank check to create your own event, what wouldn't be allowed through the door?
I would probably say like seating and furniture is like really important, I think, in creating an experience. So no rounds, no hotel chairs, no fluorescent lights. Like I would create my own like dynamic space and work with cool lighting, you know, like LEDs, like just cool lighting, and also have like furniture that speaks to more of like a lounge vibe, something that when you walk in you just have more of that wow factor than like, oh, you know, great, I'm at another ballroom with rounds and stale chairs and the same kind of setup. So I think just like my overall setup would be different.
Okay. There's always chatter about like the events industry needs a reality show, and I think the reality competition show could be that. Like you get this blank ballroom space.
Yes.
And then you have to work with a team and like
Transform
probably
it.
have like objectives or something that you have to meet, and then like it gets judged by attendees, or like then you just like open the event and like whoever spends the most time in your room or something.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, I went to a Christmas party this past year and it was in a ballroom, But wow. I mean, and obviously, again, budget is always a thing, but you can find sponsors people want to throw money at you. They just have to give them a reason to.
Yes.
They don't want to sponsor the same crap over and over again.
I'm not putting my logo on a sign anymore.
Exactly. Like, no, thank you. But he completely, I mean, the whole room was draped, like every single piece of it. And it was like this beautiful green drape. And the seating was gorgeous. And they had like, palm trees that they brought in. I mean, the way it was just done. And I was just thinking the whole time, I'm like, wow, if we would only do this for a conference, like how much longer could you keep people in the room? Yeah. And how much better would the dialogue be for your attendees? Just like the whole design of the event in this case was gorgeous. And all I could think about was, I don't want to go anywhere. And not because there's like free booze, but like because it's a cool
you had a
place.
Vibe. You were there.
Yeah, like I felt like I was not in a ballroom. It was really well done. And that's what I would love to see event organizers do
I don't think we touch enough of all the senses when we think about design. And like you're talking about the video when we were talking about the award shows and like pulling that emotion.
Yeah.
Some of that emotion starts the moment you walk in the room. Like if the room is set different, your brain immediately starts thinking, well,
exactly.
Why did they do this? I wonder what's about to happen. We're not just in a theater. We're not just in banquet rounds.
Like when's the last time you walked into a fully draped room? You know what I mean?
Gosh.
Like not just the wall-to-wall drape, but like true wall-to-wall, like around the room, and not black drape, but like, just something to give you, it's so simple, but it gives you such a wow factor. Yeah. And then to be able to work with lighting with that kind of drape. I mean, there's just so much that can be done.
For not even that much money. I think that's like, especially with lighting too, thinking about uplighting and gobos. And it's so easy to set a mood with a limited budget just in lighting.
Yeah, it really is. So,
okay, last question. If your event footage had a blooper reel, what moment would definitely make the cut?
We have so many moments in travel, like with myself and my team, that would all make the cut. I don't even know that I could pick one. Like it's always a hot mess, Okay, talk about authentic. Here we go. So my chin, you can zoom in. It's fine, Rachel. It's fine. So I have like this little crease right here. And every time, when you're at events, you're just like rushing, you're eating sandwiches, you're trying to like stuff food down your face and you're on the go.
Yeah. So you have like 5 seconds to eat a whole meal.
Exactly. So I was eating a sandwich, as I tend to do on show site because it's fast and easy. And I always get lipstick like right over here. So my team thought it would be really funny to film me taking a bite of my sandwich and then to find out, like scientifically, how the lipstick gets to my chin. So we learned that my bottom lip rolls into my chin crease and leaves a lipstick stain. So therefore, I have banned sandwiches as my lunch on site ever since then.
So what is your go-to lunch now? If
anything that doesn't involve me biting into anything.
Fork food only.
Fork food only. Yes. Salads. I could do a little pasta. I could do some chicken. I could do just no sandwich. Yes, because my team is always watching and there's always some kind of a camera rolling and yes.
Can only imagine the text now back and forth of like, oh, there goes Sarah again.
Yeah,
with
exactly. Yeah, I am not to eat sandwiches or anything that my lip would roll over into my chin crease.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of the dynamic dialogue. It was an absolute pleasure to be here with you. I think there's so many great takeaways that we've covered in the last hour or so that we've been here, and just can't wait for so many people to learn from you and all the things. Where can people find you?
So I am very much on Instagram. So my handle is at Sarah Marie Soliman, and then also on LinkedIn under Sarah Soliman. Those are kind of like my two go-to social platforms. And then obviously via email, sarah@solimanproductions.com.
Oh, well, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Event About It. Keep laughing, keep growing, and definitely keep eventing about it.